The Japanese philosophy of Ukeireru to accept the reality of love. In Japanese culture, the concept of Ukeireru is often used to describe the acceptance of reality as it is. This philosophy can be particularly useful in the area of relationships. When entering into a relationship, it is easy to form ideas about the other person and see them as what you would like them to be rather than what they really are. This can lead to disillusionment and frustration when expectations are not met. By practicing Ukeireru, one learns to accept the other person with his or her qualities and defects, without trying to change him or her. This does not mean that one should not try to improve the relationship, but rather that this should be done with respect and tolerance for the other. Ukeireru can also help in dealing with difficult times in a relationship, such as arguments or disagreements. Instead of denying reality or trying to avoid it, one accepts that these moments are an integral part of life together and tries to overcome them together. In short, Ukeireru is a philosophy that can help us to better live our relationships by accepting reality as it is, with its ups and downs. By practicing this approach, we can learn to love better and be happy in our relationships.
The joy of giving without expectation. The text illustrates the notion that giving without expectation is one of the keys to finding happiness. Indeed, the satisfaction we feel when we give something to someone who needs it is quite special, because it has no counterpart. This means that happiness is doubled when the person receiving our gift does not expect it, because our gift becomes a real gift. However, it is important not to give with the expectation of getting something in return. Indeed, giving without expectation is a fundamental notion that guarantees that our gift will be sincere and altruistic. If we give with the intention of receiving something in return, it is no longer called a gift, but an exchange. Finally, I emphasize that the treatise on love invites individuals to give without expectation, and to feel the reciprocity of love in return. By giving without expecting anything in return, our hearts open to others, making room for a true exchange of feelings and happiness.
The kiss, an instinctive and respectful act. Kissing is a universal and intimate act that dates back to the dawn of humanity. The lips being the most sensitive part of the human body, the kiss is meant to stimulate the senses and to broaden the emotional exchange between two people. In many cultures, kissing is considered a sign of respect and affection towards others. It is a way of showing special attachment to a friend, relative, or lover. It is a way of expressing tenderness without using words. Kissing is not only a gesture of affection and love between humans, but it is also found in animals, which suggests that it is a natural and instinctive behavior in all species. In conclusion, the kiss is an act with many meanings and interpretations, but above all, it is a sign of respect and affection towards others, a universal gesture of humanity and tenderness.
The love burnout, when emotions become exhausting. Being in love is a wonderful experience that can bring us great joy and happiness. However, when emotions take over and become overwhelming, it can become emotionally exhausting. This heavy emotional load can lead us to burnout in love. Love burnout is characterized by a state of extreme fatigue. We are too absorbed by our emotions and thoughts, which can lead to a considerable loss of energy. This fatigue is often accompanied by feelings of sadness, depression or anxiety, which affect our daily lives. The particularity of this type of burnout is that it leads to a deep sentimental and existential questioning of our life choices and love relationships. We often ask ourselves questions about ourselves, about our capacity to love and be loved, about the reasons why we chose this particular person. All of this can be extremely trying and can lead to a lot of mental fatigue. One of the causes of love burnout is emotional addiction. When we become too addicted to the positive feelings that love gives us, we can lose our integrity and go against our needs. We can serve our partner's needs while ignoring our own. This state of emotional dependence can cause us to give up our ideals and values, which can bring us to the brink of burnout. In addition, it is important to take care of our needs. We need to learn to listen to our emotions and needs, and make sure that we satisfy them by taking care of ourselves. We need to give ourselves the time and space to recharge and refocus, otherwise we risk being overwhelmed by our emotions. In short, love burnout is a complex phenomenon that can manifest itself in different ways. It is important to take care of ourselves and our needs to avoid falling into this emotional trap.
The mental wave team in sound medicine to promote emotional connection. The mental wave team is made up of sound medicine specialists whose mission is to improve the emotional well-being of individuals. Their approach is to use the properties of music to influence the heartbeat, thereby promoting emotional connection and shamanic trance or altered states of consciousness. Sound medicine is an age-old practice of using sound to improve the physical, mental and emotional health of individuals. Mental wave has developed a unique approach by focusing on the heartbeat, which is closely linked to emotions. Indeed, studies have shown that heart rate is influenced by musical rhythm. Mental wave uses specially designed compositions and rhythms to achieve a state of deep relaxation and emotional connection. The goal of the mental wave method is to lead individuals into an altered state of consciousness, which is similar to a shamanic trance. This state allows one to better explore their emotions and reduce stress. In short, the mental wave team uses sound medicine to influence heart rate and promote emotional connection. This method allows individuals to reach an altered state of consciousness conducive to self-exploration and stress reduction.
The importance of understanding our ways of expressing love. In life, we all have different ways of expressing our love to others. Some people like to express their love by giving gifts, others by spending quality time with their loved one, while others may show their love through affectionate gestures or words. Neurolinguistic programming, commonly known as NLP, teaches us that our senses have a big role to play in how we feel love. Using the Wesak technique, which stands for visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory, and gustatory, we can identify the ways in which our senses interact with our heart to express and feel love. Understanding how our partner likes to receive and give love is essential to improving a relationship. Therefore, by simply asking the question, "How do you know I love you?" we can better understand how our partner perceives love. By understanding these differences, we can adjust the way we express our love to better align with our partners. Ultimately, by using NLP and the Wesak technique, we can improve our relationship by learning to better communicate and express our love in the ways that matter most to our partner. The importance of understanding your partner's love. Love in a relationship is a wonderful thing, but often complex. It is important to understand that each of us has a different way of loving and being loved. By seeking to understand our partner's love, we can develop better communication and harmonize our relationship. When we love, we tend to love as we would like to be loved. However, this does not always suit our partner. This is why it is important to understand how our partner sees and understands love and the signs of tenderness he or she prefers. By understanding our partner's needs in terms of love, we can adapt our behavior and actions to better meet his/her expectations and needs. We can also better communicate our own love needs and be more responsive when he or she tells us about theirs. Finally, it is important to regularly show signs of tenderness to our partner. These signs vary from person to person, but often include acts of affection, kind words, quality time together, or small gestures. By understanding our partner's love and showing signs of tenderness, we can build a stronger, happier and more fulfilling relationship for each of us.
The importance of varying your emotions for a fulfilling life. The emotional system of each individual is programmed to like novelty and surprises. This is why it is important to regularly leave your comfort zone and vary your emotions. Of course, routine can have a reassuring effect on our emotional state, but it is essential not to get stuck in it. Indeed, if we stay too long in a certain routine, our emotions will end up weakening and our life will become monotonous. This is why we must know how to mix pleasures, do new things, surprise our emotional system, get out of our routine, and explore new horizons. When we test new experiences, we create new emotions, new memories, and new learning that enrich our emotional life. In summary, to live a fulfilling life, it is important to vary our emotions by regularly stepping out of our comfort zone and exploring new horizons. This will help to strengthen our emotional system and live a more vibrant life, richer in positive experiences.
The importance of writing to align our desires and actions. When our desire is at odds with our will, it is common for emotions such as fear to disrupt our mind. This internal conflict can lead to confusion and inaction. A simple solution to this is to write down your intuition. By writing down what attracts us, what motivates us, as well as the possible obstacles that hold us back, we clarify our thinking and align our intention with our action. Taking the time to reflect in a conscious and structured way allows us to take stock of our deepest aspirations and to identify the concrete actions we need to put in place to achieve them. Writing is therefore a powerful tool to help us overcome our fears and find the clarity and confidence to act in accordance with our desire. By expressing our emotions on paper, we can also soothe them and transform them into positive energy to propel us forward. In short, writing is an effective way to open a channel of communication between our mind and our action. It allows us to sort out our thoughts, avoid errors of judgment, and align our desires with our actions. So let's not hesitate to use this simple but powerful technique to reach our goals and realize our wildest dreams.
The influence of English Romanticism on European literature and the rise of the myth of love in Paris. In the 17th century, English literature marked a turning point by introducing romantic codes into society. This literary movement emphasized emotions and feelings, with themes such as passionate love, nature, melancholy, and individualism. The works of poets and novelists such as William Shakespeare, John Keats, Lord Byron, Jane Austen, and Emily Bronte quickly gained popularity in Europe, influencing literary styles throughout Europe. Romantic love, in particular, was one of the great themes of English Romanticism and quickly became a central topic in European society. This had a major impact on popular culture, including music, fashion, and the visual arts. In particular, this influence was the main source of inspiration for 18th and 19th century French painting, with artists such as Jean-Honoré Fragonard and Jean-Auguste Dominique Ingres. This desire for romance and passion then gave rise to the rise of the myth of love in Paris. This is why it was nicknamed the City of Love and Light. This has become a personal legend known all over the world. Films, songs, and artworks have been created around this myth, contributing to the international fame of Paris. In conclusion, we can say that the English Romantic movement had a considerable impact on literature in Europe, and that it gave birth to one of the great myths of our time, love in Paris.
The influence of our emotions on our environment and on our quest for love. Our emotional state is contagious. When we are happy, those around us feel that positive energy, and we in turn make others happier. Similarly, when we are sad, stressed, or angry, it can affect those around us in a negative way. So we have a responsibility to ourselves and to others to take care of our emotional balance. As far as our search for love is concerned, it is true that we often hear that love comes when we are not expecting it. But that doesn't mean we have to sit back and wait for love to knock on our door. We can be proactive in our search while remaining open and available to unexpected opportunities. However, wanting to find love can also affect our behavior in subtle and natural ways. We can be more aware of our body language, our communication, and our interactions with others. We may also be more open-minded and less attached to rigid criteria about our ideal partner. In short, our emotional state can have an impact on our surroundings and our quest for love. It is important to take care of our emotional balance while remaining open to opportunities and being aware of our behavior.
The influence of our emotions on our perceptions. Our feelings have a significant impact on the way we perceive the world around us. Emotions are subjective responses to internal or external stimuli and can influence our perceptions in important ways. American psychologist William James suggested that we don't cry because we are sad, but we are sad because we cry. In other words, our emotions influence our emotional responses. When we have a dominant emotion, we are in a specific emotional state that can persist even when circumstances change. For example, if a person is constantly angry because of a stressful situation, they may continue to feel anger even when the stressful situation is not present. This emotional response is related to an association of ideas or habits that we have formed. It is important to be aware of how we interpret events emotionally. For example, if we regularly experience emotional withdrawal, it can affect our perception of the world. We may begin to perceive others as indifferent or unreliable, when this may not be the case. By doing some introspection, we can identify our emotional patterns and response habits. We can work on these patterns to improve our emotional well-being and interpersonal relationships. In conclusion, our emotions have a significant impact on our perception of the world. It is important to be aware of these emotional responses and to work on our patterns to improve our emotional well-being and have healthier interpersonal relationships.
The influence of our emotions on our thoughts and perceptions about love. Our brain and our heart are closely linked, and this can have consequences on our love life. Indeed, our emotions have an impact on our thoughts and our ability to perceive situations objectively. When we experience love, our ego is often called upon and can react according to our experience. If we have been hurt or betrayed in the past, this can create a kind of trauma that will influence our thoughts and emotional reactions. The link between the brain and the heart is also important. Emotions in love create impulses in our brain that can affect our heart rate and physical sensations. This can influence our perception of the relationship, and even make us make irrational decisions. It is important to be aware of this influence to avoid falling into the trap of emotional reactions. By taking a step back from our emotions, we can better understand our thoughts and perceptions about love and make more rational decisions. In conclusion, our emotions have an impact on our thoughts and perceptions about love. By understanding this link between the brain and the heart, we can avoid emotional reactions and make more informed decisions in our romantic relationships.
The influence of our neurological programming on our emotions and interpersonal relationships. Have you ever felt an intense emotion because of the surrounding atmosphere, which you could not explain? It may be due to our neurological programming, i.e., the way we interpret the information we receive. Indeed, our memory influences the way we judge our feelings and our interpretations of the events that surround us. This can have great repercussions on our interpersonal relationships, because our emotional reactions can be influenced by our past experiences. For example, if we have been betrayed in the past, we may be more likely to think that the people around us might also betray us. This can cause us to be less open and have less satisfying relationships. It is therefore important to be aware of our neurological programming and to examine it critically. By understanding our own emotional reactions and working on how we interpret events, we can improve our interpersonal relationships and emotional well-being. In summary, ambient emotion can affect us in important ways, but by understanding our neurological programming, we can improve our emotional well-being and interpersonal relationships. The influence of our sensory perceptions on our perception of the world. We perceive the world through our 5 senses: sight, hearing, taste, smell, and touch. These sensory perceptions allow us to create a mental image of the world around us. This image is the result of our personal interpretation, and can be different for each individual. When our mental image is pleasant, we are inclined to like it and seek to maintain it. However, if our perception of the world changes, it may be difficult to continue to enjoy this image. In this case, it takes an effort of will to maintain our attachment to that perception. This shows how much our perception of the world is influenced by our sensory perceptions and our personal interpretation. It is therefore important to take these perceptual biases into account in order to try to see the world in a more objective way.
The ingredients of love, between attachment and illusion. Being in love is a deep feeling that can bring a lot of happiness and personal fulfillment. However, too often, this stage is crossed in a kind of second state where emotions take control. The recipe for love seems to include a good dose of attachment and illusion. In reality, when we believe we are in love with someone, we are often in love with the feeling of love that it brings. The addiction to the emotional intensity one feels when they are with that person is often stronger than anything else. This feeling seems to bring a sense of fulfillment and well-being that can hardly be compared to anything else. However, even if this feeling is real, it often only lasts for a while. The recurring thoughts, the lack, all this can end up tiring and lead to a breakup. Love is then replaced by sorrow and disappointment. The mistake we often make is to condition our happiness on the future. We think that if we are with this person, everything will be perfect and all our problems will be solved. This illusion of perfection leads us to cling to this person with strength, when in reality we are the ones who are the authors of this desire. The recipe for the love state is therefore a subtle mixture of attachment and illusion. But for it to really work, we must not forget that we are the main actors of our lives and that we have within us the capacity to recreate this desire at every moment. So let's not forget to focus on the present and live each moment intensely so that we never lose the flame of love.
The ingredients to consolidate a couple in the long term. In order for a couple to stay together and last over time, several elements must be taken into account. The first criterion is the reproductive instinct, which arouses desire and makes you want to start a family. But this is not enough to build a solid and fulfilling relationship. The criteria of beauty and relational warmth are also very important for men. They are often looking for a soft, tender, maternal and caring woman. This is where the emotional dimension of the relationship comes into play, as the woman must be able to listen and understand her partner's needs, and vice versa. It is also essential that the man be respected by his partner for the couple to remain harmonious. Women generally appreciate caring, nurturing and protective men who can reassure and support them in difficult times. However, this does not exclude the need for mutual respect, as each partner needs to feel that they are valued and appreciated. In short, to build a solid and fulfilling relationship, several elements must be taken into account such as the reproductive instinct, the criteria of beauty and relational warmth, listening, understanding, caring, protection and mutual respect. By keeping these ingredients in mind, couples have every chance of living a long and happy relationship.
The inner compass. The heart is often considered our inner compass, the one that guides our steps towards happiness and abundance. However, it happens that fear invites itself in our life and creates doubts, anxieties that contradict our own momentum. In these moments, it is important to take a break and get back in touch with the silence within. By finding our own mojo, we can once again hear the voice of the heart and let ourselves be guided towards our own destiny. Sometimes our imagination can be our worst enemy, making us fear the unknown and preventing us from moving forward. However, by focusing on our inner compass, we can free ourselves from our fears and move confidently towards our destiny.
The inner fire to meet your twin flame. We all dream of a relationship where our heart beats in harmony with our soul mates. For souls in search of their twin flame, this represents a path of challenges and inner transformation. Indeed, to be able to fully live this divine encounter, it is necessary to open oneself completely to the other while getting rid of the limiting thought patterns that have been acquired over time. To spark this inner flame, it is important to let go of the old stories that have blocked us and open our hearts to the unknown. This allows for a new perspective on the other person and an appreciation for their uniqueness. Therefore, embracing the twin flames involves an inner search and acceptance of oneself. Through this profound transformation, a person is ready to receive the universe and experience a magical, evolving relationship with their twin flame.
The inner smile technique, a method to connect to your well-being. The inner smile technique is a practice that comes from the Taoist tradition and from sophrology. It consists of smiling at your heart to generate love within yourself and maintain your body in a state of deep well-being. This method is easy to put in place. It is enough to take a comfortable position and to concentrate on your heart while smiling internally. This technique allows you to connect to yourself, to take time for yourself and to generate positive emotions. The effectiveness of this practice is quickly felt as it helps to strengthen one's inner self, connect to one's well-being and cultivate positive emotions. It can be adapted to all daily situations, whether to prepare for a busy day, to relax after a day of work or to reconnect with oneself. In conclusion, the inner smile technique is a simple and quick practice to implement to connect to your inner self, find inner peace and generate positive emotions on a daily basis.
The interconnection of space, time and the laws of the universe. One of the fundamental concepts of astronomy and modern physics is that space and time are intrinsically linked. What we call spacetime is a single entity that is bent by gravity and modified by the presence of matter. This interconnectedness means that the universe is far more complex than what we can observe directly. The physical laws that govern the universe are universal and apply to all objects, from subatomic particles to galaxies. Scientists have observed that these laws seem to correlate with a zero point in space, where the vacuum energy of the universe is lowest. This zero point is also called core space. This 0 point of space has special significance to scientists who study the physical connections between space, time, and the laws of the universe. Many believe that this is where the keys to understanding the nature of the universe lie outside of our limited perception. The existence of core space implies that everything is related, even when objects are separated by great distances. This interconnectedness is an amazing phenomenon of the universe, which acts as a bridge connecting seemingly separate parts. In core space, distance is not a barrier, and even the most distant objects are connected to each other. In short, the concepts of space, time, and the laws of the universe are intimately connected. Understanding the interconnected nature of these elements may help solve some of the great enigmas of the universe, such as the nature of dark matter, the origin of the universe, or the mechanisms of black holes.
Lilo sentiments, when love needs help. The story takes place on a mysterious island, known to house all human feelings. On this island, where everything is exaggerated, love is king. But one day, it finds itself in trouble. The islanders were used to living great love stories, but this time, love needed help. Old lovers were breaking up, young couples were fighting. It was chaos. Then a mysterious character, without face or name, appeared on the island. He had a mission, to help love become what it was. He understood that the savior, the victim, and the heartbreaker were three sides of the same problem, and that the solution could not come from one person alone. So he gathered the islanders and made them understand that everyone had to play a role in saving love. The old couples were there to inspire hope, the young to bring passion, and the single to give a fresh perspective. And so love, guided by this mysterious character, found its shine on the island of feelings. Couples reformed, hearts warmed, and everyone understood that love cannot exist without the contribution of all. This story reminds us that love is fragile and requires our attention and commitment. It also reminds us that no one can save love, but together we can make it stronger than ever.
The Isolation of YouTubers and the Emotion of Sébastien Espinosa. In the world of YouTube, it is common to see content creators in their own bubble, focused on their topic or theme and not paying much attention to what is going on around them. This practice is appealing to more and more people, but it also creates a certain isolation. In a recent video, we can observe the emotion of Sébastien Espinosa, a well-known YouTuber, when he realizes this situation. It is a moving moment, because we realize that despite the number of people who follow him, the YouTuber can feel alone and cut off from the world. Sébastien Espinosa is known for his passion for dance and his ability to share his skills with his subscribers. He is filmed dancing in a park with his team. Despite their talent and dynamism, they seem almost indifferent to the passers-by and the people around them. This situation provokes an emotional reaction from Sébastien, who becomes aware of this isolation and of the importance of not remaining insensitive to other people. This video reminds us that isolation is a reality for many content creators on YouTube, despite their popularity. It invites us to be aware of our surroundings and interact with others, even when we are absorbed in a task or passion. All in all, Sébastien Espinosa's video is a life lesson that reminds us of the importance of interaction and communication in order to live one's passion to the fullest, whether it be on YouTube or in everyday life.
The karmic consequences of our actions. I emphasize the idea that every action we take has karmic consequences that reverberate in one way or another in our lives. These consequences are often expressed as disappointment with our desires, whether in love, friendship, or in our quest for personal success. I suggest that over-identification with character and our story creates all kinds of afflictions. I also emphasize the importance of the ego in the choice between union or separation. In sum, it emphasizes our responsibility in action, because every choice we make has an impact on our lives and the lives of others. Thus, it is vital to remain aware of our actions and their consequences on our lives, and on the lives of others.
The key to love, open-mindedness. Love is a complex feeling that requires openness to fully develop. It is an emotion that can only be felt if we are willing to accept and give it freely. For love to touch our hearts, we must open ourselves to the possibility of being loved and loving back. This openness involves freeing ourselves from our fears and prejudices that may prevent us from fully experiencing this emotion. Thus, Love requires us to be open to the other, regardless of their differences or similarities. We must find within ourselves the ability to put ourselves in the other person's shoes and be attentive to their needs. We must learn to communicate constructively and to be compassionate. But being open to love does not only mean being attentive to the other person. It also means being open to whatever situation we find ourselves in. It means being able to empathize with others, even in the most difficult of times. Ultimately, love is something bigger than ourselves. It is something that transcends our own experience and connects us to others and to something greater than ourselves. It is by opening ourselves to this dimension of love that we can have profound and meaningful experiences in our lives.
The key to reestablishing a relationship is acceptance of the other person. In life, relationships often deteriorate over time. There may be many reasons for this, but one thing is certain: reestablishing a relationship requires the agreement of both parties. If one party is not willing to make an effort, it is difficult to pick up the pieces. However, there is a simple technique for reestablishing a relationship: understand the other person and accept that they are right. This technique may seem easy on the surface, but it requires real humility and open-mindedness. Instead of trying to be right at all costs, it is important to understand the other person's point of view. To do this, it is necessary to listen, without judgment or criticism. Then, it is enough to admit that the other person is right, even if it does not correspond to our own opinion. This does not necessarily mean that we have to give up our convictions, but rather that we have to recognize that each point of view is valid. By simply responding with yes, that's true, we show the other person that we understand and accept their point of view. This approach allows us to unblock the situation and create a climate of trust. Indeed, when everyone feels listened to and understood, it is easier to renew the relationship. In conclusion, reestablishing a relationship requires humility, listening, and open-mindedness. By accepting the other person as he or she is and understanding his or her point of view, we create the conditions to rebuild a healthy and lasting relationship.
The keys to a lasting relationship: knowing your partner's needs. In a romantic relationship, it can be difficult to know how to express your love and how to meet your partner's expectations. This is where the advice of love specialist Gary Chapman can help. He proposes an approach based on nonviolent communication, centered on the knowledge of the partner's needs. One of the keys to this approach is to know how to express your love in a way that will be well received by your partner. Chapman suggests that everyone has 5 different love languages, which correspond to particular ways of expressing love: words of affirmation, moments of quality, gifts, services rendered, and physical contact. To know your partner's love language, Chapman recommends using nonviolent communication. This means actively listening to what your partner is saying, without interrupting, judging, or criticizing. Then, express your own point of view in a clear and respectful way. Once you know your partner's love language, the next step is to meet their needs. Chapman suggests offering small gestures that show your partner that you care: sharing a quality moment together, giving a symbolic gift, doing a favor, or simply giving a hug. In summary, to build a lasting and fulfilling relationship, it is important to know your partner's needs and to know how to express your love in a way that will be well received. Nonviolent communication and small gestures of attention can help cultivate a healthy and harmonious relationship.
The keys to being loved and respected by others. Being loved and respected by others is what many of us seek in life. However, the keys to achieving this are not always obvious. Here are 5 key points to help you achieve this goal. 1. Be humble to command respect. Humility is a quality often admired in individuals. Show humility in your actions and words, admitting mistakes and acknowledging the skills of others. This will build respect for you from others. 2. Remember that we are all human, we are all imperfect and have our own weaknesses. Avoid judging others or comparing yourself to them. Respect their differences and get to know them better rather than judge them. 3. Listen actively with love. Listening attentively to others with your full attention is a sign of love, empathy, and respect. Avoid judging or interrupting, and show empathy for what the other person is saying. 4. The walls have ears. It is important to remember that what we say affects not only ourselves, but also others. Avoid negative comments, gossip or gossip about others. Instead, try to say positive things that support and uplift those around you. 5. Be careful what you think. How we talk to ourselves can also impact our ability to be liked and respected by others. Avoid negative thoughts about yourself and be kind to yourself. If you are confident and comfortable with yourself, others are more likely to respect and love you. By applying these 5 points, you can improve your relationships with others, feel more confident and respected, and receive the love you seek.
The keys to successful seduction from the first seconds. Seduction is a subtle art that requires a few tricks to succeed in capturing the attention of the other person from the very first seconds. Some elements are to be taken into account to achieve this. First of all, it is important to be self-confident. Charismatic people exude a confidence that naturally attracts others. Being confident in your words and body language is an undeniable asset in a meeting. Secondly, humor is a valued quality in seduction. It allows to relax the atmosphere and to show a certain lightness. However, be careful not to overdo it and adapt your humor to the person in front of you. Social status is also a criterion that can play in favor of seduction. Having an interesting job or an advantageous social situation can impress the other person and make them want to get to know the person in front of you better. On the other hand, it is important to be benevolent and respectful while avoiding being too nice. Being too insistent from the start can put the other person off and give a bad image of yourself. Finally, patience is essential in seduction. It is essential not to rush things even if the desire is intense. Taking the time to get to know the person better allows you to create a more solid connection and thus maximize the chances of success. In conclusion, succeeding in seduction requires a certain know-how that cannot be acquired overnight. However, being self-confident, having an adapted sense of humor, a social status to impress, benevolence and patience are elements that can make the difference from the very first seconds.
The limits of our qualities. At first, everything seems positive and encouraging. We are proud of our qualities and believe that they can take us far. But sometimes, these same qualities become defects when they are pushed to excess. Too much self-confidence can quickly turn into arrogance, which prevents us from considering the ideas of others. Too much indulgence can make us appear indecisive and impressionable, while too much ambition can make us lose sight of our priorities. Over time, we realize that balance is difficult to maintain. We are often too committed to our own views and too little attuned to others. We live in our own world and forget the needs and interests of others. Little by little, we build a shell and distance ourselves from others. This shell is a defense mechanism to protect us from criticism and judgment. But in the end, it only isolates us further. It is important to recognize the limitations of our qualities so that we can better use them in our lives. We must be aware of the flaws associated with these qualities and be willing to listen to the opinions of others. By keeping an open mind and being humble, we will connect with others and achieve a healthier balance.
The longevity of love. Today, my parents are celebrating 44 years of marriage, and I am very proud. It's a testament to the importance of love in a life and the durability of a union. We have long since abandoned the idea that marriage was only a mutual support, as in ancient Egypt. The couple has become a universal nature, and we are all looking for our soulmate. Plato, in his teaching, tells a fascinating story. At Genesis, man had 2 heads, 4 arms and 4 legs. The perfect being. But he was separated into 2 for some unknown reason. Since then, we spend our lives looking for our other half, our soulmate. Often, we are mistaken in thinking that this person is the key to our happiness. However, the soulmate is inside us. It is our own soul. We must find happiness, love and peace within ourselves. In doing so, we can open ourselves to a lasting union with another person who shares our values and aspirations. Ultimately, the longevity of love depends on our ability to love ourselves and share that love with others. My parents' topaz wedding is a beautiful proof of this universal truth. The balance of love between ups and downs. I bring up the idea that in order to find balance in one's love relationships, it is important to go through ups and downs. It suggests that conflicts can be beneficial to maintain harmony in the couple, provided that one makes one's rights heard and respects the other's feelings. Indeed, in any relationship, it is normal to experience moments of doubt, anger, sadness, or frustration. It is by going through these trials that we learn to know each other better, to discover each other's limits, and to strengthen our mutual trust. If we constantly try to avoid conflict or sweep it under the rug, we risk tension building up and losing all sense of balance. This is not to say that you should argue for the sake of it or to impose your point of view at all costs. On the contrary, the key to harmony lies in the ability to communicate, to express one's needs and emotions in a constructive and respectful manner. It is important to take the time to understand the other person, to listen to his or her arguments, and to look together for solutions that suit everyone. In short, balance in love is not simply the absence of conflict, but rather the ability to get through these difficult moments while remaining open, empathetic, and caring. This requires courage, patience, and confidence in oneself and in the other person, but it is also what makes human relationships rich and deep.
The loving choices of emotion. When we decide to commit to a relationship out of fear of being alone or to fulfill a need for affection and security, we often make an impulsive and poorly thought out choice. Indeed, these choices are often guided by emotion rather than by a rational analysis of the situation. The need for affection and security is human, but everyone responds differently. Some people prefer to stay alone rather than get into a relationship by default, others will choose to commit themselves without conviction. In both cases, reason is often put aside to make room for emotions. This decision based on emotion can sometimes be effective in the short term, but in the long term, it can lead to frustration and disappointment. Indeed, a relationship built on motivations that are not linked to authentic love risks running out of steam quickly. To avoid these pitfalls, it is important to be discerning and thoughtful before entering into a relationship. Love should not be an alternative to loneliness, but the result of a deep connection between two people. It is essential to be aware of your own needs and not rush into a relationship to fill a temporary emotional void. In short, it is important not to let emotion guide our love choices. Taking the time to think before committing to a relationship will help build a more lasting and fulfilling relationship for both partners.
The many facets of love. Love, this complex emotion, is experienced in different ways and brings a unique sense of well-being to everyone. Some people find happiness in long and lasting relationships, while others seek passion through short and intense stories. Is time a quality factor in love? Some would say that the longer you stay with someone, the more the love grows and becomes solid. Others believe that love can be intense and lasting even in a short time. It all depends on the person and the relationship. Is physical appearance important in love? Some would say that physical appearance is an important criterion in the search for love, while others believe that inner beauty is more important. In the end, it depends on the choice and the feeling of each one. In the end, it is up to each person to find the right words to express their love and live it in their own way. It is important to respect each person's choice and to let each person live love as he or she wishes in respect and kindness.
The meaning of the Wesak festival for Buddhists. Wesak is an important festival for Buddhists who celebrate Buddha's birthday. It is considered a crucial event for the followers of Buddhism as it marks the birth, enlightenment, and death of Buddha, which has an important impact in their spiritual life. For Buddhists, Wesak is an opportunity to remember Buddha's teachings and to meditate on his key concepts, such as peace and love. During this festival, they have a unique chance to come closer to enlightenment and experience a kind of spiritual awakening. I emphasize that peace and love are two important concepts for Buddhists, and that it is crucial to practice them in order to reach a state of serenity and inner well-being. Furthermore, I caution that even if one gives love to someone who is not at peace with himself, this love could be misinterpreted or misused. In sum, Wesak is an important spiritual holiday for Buddhists who seek to attain enlightenment and live in peace and love by practicing the teachings of Buddha.
The mechanisms of self-sabotage and repeated breakups. In relationships, some people find themselves in a spiral of repeated breakups, without understanding the deep reasons for their behavior. Questioning these subconscious mechanisms can help to better understand the phenomenon of self-sabotage. Indeed, it is possible that certain subconscious mechanisms come to play the self-sabotage as a protection of the emotional sphere. When we have experienced a painful breakup, our mind may seek to avoid the pain by engaging in relationships that are doomed from the start. In this way, we reproduce the pattern of our past experiences, in a kind of flight to safety. From a psychological point of view, this situation plunges us into denial. We refuse to question ourselves and to face reality. To get out of this impasse, it would be necessary to put ourselves in the other person's shoes, to try to understand their desires and expectations. If we had the audacity to look at ourselves, we could realize that we would probably not be the ideal choice for our partner in the present moment. In short, it is important to recognize the existence of subconscious mechanisms that can lead us to self-sabotage. Addressing this issue can help us break out of the negative spiral of repeated breakups and build healthier, more fulfilling relationships.
The meditation of inner light and unconditional love. Meditation is an ancient spiritual practice that exists in many cultures and traditions. Among the many forms of meditation, one of them consists of directing our attention inward to contemplate the light that animates us. This light can be seen as a representation of the life force that animates our body and mind. It is within us, connecting us to our deepest essence, and can be seen as a source of love and wisdom. During this meditation, it is important to remain open to what is presented to us, without judgment or tension. It is about simply being in the presence of oneself, in the present moment, and welcoming the sensations, emotions, and thoughts that arise. Without trying to control or modify them, we observe them with benevolence, like clouds in the sky that pass by without affecting the deep nature of that sky. As we contemplate the light that inhabits us, we can feel this light grow and gradually spread throughout our body, nourishing us deeply at every moment. We can feel a sensation of fullness and inner peace spreading through us. At this moment, it may be appropriate to direct our attention to unconditional love, which is a quality of the spirit that we can cultivate. We can remind ourselves that unconditional love is our essential nature, and that we are all connected by this universal and luminous quality. By remaining in this state of meditation, in this enlightenment, we can learn to welcome everything that comes our way as an expression of this same universal love, regardless of the external differences that may separate us. We can practice kindness and respect for every living thing, animals, plants, the environment, and especially for ourselves. By practicing the meditation of inner light and unconditional love, we can open ourselves to a deep connection with ourselves and with the world around us, becoming aware of the interdependence that links all forms of life. The moments of intimacy that reveal our vulnerability. I bring up the idea that it is in moments of intimacy that we learn to discover our vulnerabilities. Indeed, when we break down barriers and share something sensitive with someone else, it creates a deep and sensational connection. I also mentioned that these moments of sharing can sometimes occur in situations where we have been drinking, confiding in each other to express our love or affection. However, these moments can also happen in moments of pure sincerity and trust. Finally, I would like to point out that the most intimate thing we have are our dreams, and sharing them with someone we trust can be a very rewarding experience. In short, I show that moments of intimacy and vulnerability are precious moments in our lives and that they allow us to better know ourselves and to better understand others.
The multiple facets of love in Greek culture. In Greek culture, love was defined in 11 different ways, each with its own meaning and connotation. These definitions testify to the richness and complexity of the concept of love in this culture. The first type of love is porneia, which means love with guts. It refers to an insatiable passion for the satisfaction of sexual desires. The second type is eros, which refers to the love of pleasure of the body. It is a passionate love, often associated with physical beauty and lust. The third type is pothos, which represents love as a need or an addiction. This can be seen as an emotional or physical dependence on another person. The fourth type is pathos, which can be understood as the love of possession and suffering. This can manifest as jealousy, possessiveness and power struggles in a romantic relationship. The fifth type is mania pathe, which refers to passionate or crazy love. This form of love is often considered irrational and excessive. The sixth type is eunonia, which refers to the love of devotion and dedication to another person. The seventh type is philos, which represents the love of friendship. It is a love based on respect, affection and mutual consideration. The eighth type is storge, which is the love of tenderness and family. This form of love is often considered natural and instinctive. The ninth type is the harmonica, which means love in beauty. It implies an appreciation for aesthetics and symmetry in a loving relationship. The 10th type is charis, which is a celebratory and gracious love. It often involves gratitude for good fortune and thankfulness for another person. The 11th type, agape, represents divine or universal love. This form of love is characterized by kindness, compassion and generosity towards all beings. Today, chivalrous love, also known as courtly love, is considered a 12th type of love. It is a love that is based on ethical principles, courtesy and admiration for another person. Ultimately, these multiple facets of love reflect the complexity and richness of this universal concept.
The multiple facets of the search for love. The search for love is a constant in the life of every human being. We are all looking for that connivance and emotional relationship with another person that brings us joy, security and personal fulfillment. But this search for love can take many forms and is often influenced by social and cultural factors that can be limiting. Self-recognition is a key piece in the quest for love. Self-esteem is paramount to engaging in a healthy and fulfilling relationship with another person. This self-confidence is built from childhood through our love education. Parents have an important role to play in allowing children to express their emotions and in helping them understand relationships. However, as adults, the search for love can become a game of seduction where social codes and fashion effects have a strong impact on our behavior. We often try to please the other person by adopting behaviors that are not necessarily authentic. This socially conditioned quest for love can test our authenticity and our ability to be true to ourselves. In short, the quest for love is complex and multifaceted. It depends on our upbringing, our past experiences as well as the influence of our social and cultural environment. To succeed in finding authentic and fulfilling love, it is important to focus on our self-esteem and to stay true to our authenticity.
The mysteries of mint. Mint is a plant known for its refreshing taste and its ability to relieve digestive problems. But did you know that this plant also has a reputation as an aphrodisiac? Indeed, since ancient times, mint has been associated with love, and it is even said that its smell can make you fall in love. But where does this belief come from? History tells us that mint was a very popular plant in ancient Egypt and was used not only for its medicinal properties, but also for its aphrodisiac properties. The Egyptians used it to decorate their bridal beds and offered it to the bride and groom to promote their fertility. Mint was also considered a symbol of the goddess Venus, the goddess of love, by the Romans. And in the Middle Ages, monks cultivated it for its medicinal properties, but also for its intoxicating scent. Even today, mint is often associated with love and passion. In some cultures, it is said that placing mint under your pillow is beneficial to attract love into your life. And in others, couples are given mint to strengthen their love. But what about its real influence on our sexuality? Unfortunately, there are no scientific studies confirming its aphrodisiac properties. Nevertheless, mint remains a plant full of virtues, and its regular consumption can improve digestion, sleep, and overall health. All in all, mint is a mysterious and fascinating plant that has managed to survive the ages while maintaining its reputation as the herb of love. Perhaps it is its intoxicating scent or its mysterious beauty that inspired this legend, but whatever the case, mint remains a plant full of surprises.
The mystical art of contemplation. Contemplation is a mystical art that allows us to put ourselves in love, to open ourselves to a spiritual dimension of life. It allows us to enter a singular state, halfway between dream and reality, where time seems to stop. To reach this state of consciousness, there are many techniques. One of them consists in simply contemplating one's breathing. By focusing on the sensation of the air entering and leaving our nostrils, we manage to slow down the heart rate and calm the mind. Contemplation then offers us a space of freedom from the heart. It is an intimate moment where we connect to ourselves and to a universal dimension. We experience a feeling of fullness and deep well-being. In short, the art of contemplation is a spiritual practice that invites inner peace and serenity. It allows us to connect to the essential and to cultivate our relationship with ourselves and with the world around us.